Right now you can see the snow's blowing sideways, so that's something new that's just happened. It's very muddy. You can see, take a look up the street. You can see the path that all of the water and the mud took. And I'm really the only non-security personnel standing in this vicinity right now because they're waiting for Trump to arrive. You can hear helicopters overhead. This 50-page application details exactly what sheets will look like here at this corner. So there was a lot of damage, but I have good news for the people who live around here. You can see the road is reopened now after VDOT spent much of the day trying to make it okay for drivers to drive on. You can see that emergency crews are still out here working to clean up this mess. And those students say they were stunned by all of the damage they were seeing in and around their community like this. There's a smashed satellite dish on the ground and some metal sheeting that's on top of the SUV. The house is a total loss, and you can just tell by looking at it there's so much damage that was caused by this landslide. Less people who have been drinking are deciding to get in the cars, get behind the wheel, and drive drunk. And the reason for that is this heavy snow on tree branches. So much work left to do. You can see this street was hit pretty hard. There's damage pretty much everywhere you look. Let's walk over here. You can see there's tree logs on the side of the road. The woman who owns these businesses, she's a pretty busy lady. This giant tree was knocked over by this powerful wind. And from here all the way down to Virginia Western Community College, in less than 2 years, this entire area will look completely different. Tell us that the situation first happened across the street. That's where the first attack happened. And then it moved down the street. And the witnesses tell us if the bystanders hadn't have jumped in, the situation could have ended up worse than it was. If you don't have to be out, don't do it. We learned that the hard way. We got stuck on some side roads, and those are the roads you definitely want to watch out for. The team of Radford University students got here a few hours ago, and you can see they've set up all of their equipment, and each student will have a job here, whether it's gathering data or helping the students view the eclipse safely. Well, it depends on who you ask. The employees say yes, they are being laid off, but Dish Network says every employee will get an opportunity to continue working, just not at this exact location. But the couple who lives in this home says that these new plans don't change how they feel about the project. I've seen people out here sledding all day long, and I'm actually covering them up. There are about, I would say, half a dozen people out here right now. You can see some people bringing their sleds up the hill. It's never too early to start planning that safe ride home for New Year's Eve. The region's waterfalls are starting to thaw out, and hikers are coming out here hoping to catch one last glimpse of the icy falls. It is pretty busy. There's a constant flow of people on the lookout for their last-minute gifts. Robin and Jean, and the couple wants to make sure people aren't forgetting St. Croix was hit by Hurricane Maria and that the people there need help too. Actually, the cold weather isn't stopping people from coming out here and going Christmas tree shopping. Houses are being renovated and new businesses like this one, Star City Pizza, are popping up. The Montgomery County Sheriff and other deputies were here to witness the execution, and for that part of the story, we continue our team coverage with WDBJ 7's Eamon O'Mara. Yes, Jane, the family is still very much in shock. I was standing out here with them earlier today. They still can't believe that they got out safely.
I think that God has another purpose for us, that He delivered us from this house for a reason.
This is Tim and Julie Tretner's bedroom. You can see their bed, a dresser, and shelf all lying in a pile of rubble. It's where the couple woke up in a complete state of confusion Friday morning.
I heard the most horrific rumble.
After a night of heavy rain, a massive amount of dirt knocked into their house with such force, it pushed it off its foundation. The second story of their home now hangs not far from the ground.
Me and Julie in a millisecond knew exactly what it was. And not only did I know what it was, but I knew the enormity. It wasn't a little bit of dirt. It was the whole mountain.
They shouted for their son, fearing the worst.
And we didn't hear his voice.
But then they heard his voice through the darkness.
Tim said, "Nicholas, can you come down the steps?" He said, "There are no steps."
Their son climbed down what was left of the staircase, and together they climbed through an opening where a brick wall had been.
To come back out and look at what is left. It was just shock.
They've lost a lot, but now neighbors like Tommy Figert want to help.
It's important to have friends and people around you that care about you and that are willing to step up and support.
He's set up a fund through his church for the family.
If everybody just gives a little, I think we chip away at it and do what we can to help the family.
I'm told over the past couple of days, the church has raised almost $1,500 for the family. And if you're interested in finding out how to help, we have some information on our website, WDBJ7.com.
Don't look at it without glasses.
A team of Radford University students drove more than 6 hours to get to Nashville, Tennessee, just for this moment.
Here we go.
When the moon crossed in front of the sun and turned day into night. The students were there to study the eclipse.
I love how it's cooling off too.
Yes, it feels so good.
It's a surreal experience. It's not like a nighttime darkness.
You know, the eclipse part where it's a minute 30, it felt like time slowed down.
Radford professor and solar physicist Dr. Mike Freed experienced this solar eclipse for the first time along with his students.
It gives you a bit of a cosmic perspective.
He's already looking forward to the next total solar eclipse. The Radford team packed up all of their equipment and they told me they're going to go out and explore the city. In Nashville, Tennessee, Victoria Shirley, WDBJ 7.
7 Investigates reporter Victoria Shirley joins us. Victoria, you have done your own digging. What did you find?
Well, many of the department heads I spoke with say they've solved the problem since auditors pointed out the issue. But how well are they doing? I dug through their credit card statements and receipts to see. When auditors looked at a random sample of credit card statements for government agencies in Southwest Virginia, they found these 6 government agencies didn't have itemized credit card receipts or were missing receipts altogether. The government leaders we spoke with about the issue all said since the finding, they have corrected the issue or are working on it.
If we need more documentation, we'll get it.
Things are being done to tighten up the process.
What we've done now is just called a greater attention to this.
7 Investigates wanted to see if the issue continued after the auditors notified the government agencies of the finding. Through public records request, we obtained credit card statements and receipts. After going through the documents, we discovered some departments appear to have corrected the issue. Looking at 1 month, all receipts for both Pulaski County and Franklin Social Services were accounted for and itemized. Radford Social Services only had 1 unitemized restaurant receipt. But that wasn't the case for everyone. In Charlotte County, in a 6-month span, we found several receipts missing and several unitemized receipts from restaurants. 8, 9, 10, 11. So I found 11 unitemized receipts.
No, we're going to have them all itemized from now on.
Starting from when, though? Because these are from the last 6 months.
So I would say from, this point forward.
Most of the 7 missing receipts and 11 unitemized receipts are from restaurants. Auditors say they particularly need itemized receipts from restaurants to ensure employees are not buying alcohol with public dollars. Is that a concern of yours when it comes to itemized receipts?
Well, our policy is that you don't use a credit card for alcohol. But I can see where you possibly, if you didn't turn in an itemized receipt, you may have done that. But in our case, I don't think so because our people know not to.
In Highland County School Board Administrative Assistant Karen DeVore says they are working to tighten up the process to make sure all receipts are accounted for.
We don't have nearly as many, if any, reoccurrences.
In a review of 1 month worth of credit card statements, we didn't find itemized receipts from credit cards swiped at a few restaurants. But DeVore says the receipts exist but are unavailable to us because auditors have the high school's finance records. In Wythe County, we requested and received more than 6 months worth of credit card statements and receipts.
We'll have processes in place to make sure that we go through that itemized list.
After the interview with Perry, we discovered at least 3 unitemized restaurant receipts since the first of the year. Perry told us over the phone they are taking necessary action to address this issue.
Well, anytime that you're using taxpayers' money, you have to be good stewards of the money. You have to be extremely careful that you're using all of those finances in an appropriate kind of manner.
Now, if you want to read Perry's full statement, you can find that on WDBJ7.com.